So before we start, Adi, if you will allow me, I want to acknowledge. We all woke up this morning to the news that United is starting a direct flight to Israel. I want to acknowledge. I want to acknowledge Oren who initiated almost 2 years ago a grassroots campaign that we know for a fact, and United acknowledges it, played a huge part in the decision of United to start a direct flight. So let's all join me in huge applause to Oren. Oren, where are you? Can you raise your hand? Oh, here he is, over there in the back. Thank you. So from one great accomplishment to another, Adi, you and Alon, your husband, started Houzz, I guess, over 6 years ago. And I guess the first question, I'm sure everyone here knows about Houzz, probably is a user, but can you share with us a little bit the numbers, where we are, how big is Houzz today? What's the status today?
Yep. So Houzz started from a very small community here in the Bay Area, actually 20 parents from the kids' school here in Palo Alto, Edison. And this community is now over 35 million people that use the platform every month. It also started with a small group of professionals in the Bay Area, a few architects and designers that we work with. It now has over 900,000 active professionals from all over the world. What else do we have there? We started it very, very visual, so the original community contributed the portfolio and started collaborating around it. Today we have close to 8 million high-resolution, amazing images with all the data that is associated with it. We have over 650 people that work with Alon and I and help us build this in 9 offices around the world. So that's pretty much it.
So you started as almost like a hobby. And when did you realize that this can be something as obviously as huge as it has become?
Well, it was a side project, but we had a lot of passion and fun doing it. It was pretty crazy because we both worked full-time, raising the kids, and doing it nights and weekends. And I think at some point, we started getting emails and responses from different people that joined the platform outside of California. There was a moment in time, I remember, that a friend of mine from the school, one of the original parents that joined the platform, Catherine, called me and she said, "You won't believe what just happened." And I said, "What happened?" And she said, "My sister in Oregon just bought a house and her realtor introduced her to Houzz." So my sister, who never heard about Houzz from me, called me to tell me about the coolest platform on earth that I have to join to. And she's telling me about Houzz. And I thought, "Are you kidding me? I'm one of the original users." She said, "We're very, very big and in Oregon, and realtors are actually recommending the platform to their clients." That was pre-funding, pre-company. I said, "Really?" So there were a few moments like this, but I think it all came together.
And how is the experience, and you can maybe describe the experience, how did the experience of the app changed versus what you may have thought about, versus what it was 5 years ago, and how you thought about it? Is there anything that surprised you?
Well, many things surprised us, but it didn't change, the foundation didn't change, because what we were trying to do is have a better way to renovate and design our home and have the joy and fun doing it, which was pretty much a nightmare. So what we were hoping to do is bring the technology into that process and make it all much more fun and productive and visual, connecting all the people in this industry and all the dots. And this is how it started. So we actually, Alon and I, still use the same note that we wrote to ourselves 6 years ago. What is it that we are trying to do? Because we had to explain that to people in the community. And the same note we use now in every single company meeting because the mission never changed. We said we want to remove the barriers between people and great professionals in the industry and make the whole home design and renovation process much more fun and productive. And this is what we wanted to do, and it's exactly what we're doing today. How it evolved, well, we thought it's, for our local community here, obviously it grew outside of the Bay Area to the rest of California, the rest of the US, and now the rest of the world. So that's a big difference. Many different professionals of the industry joined too over the years. So we have over 60 different group of professionals. It's not just architects and designers anymore. We have contractors, landscapers, and so on. And I think based on the community feedback, we kept building it so the functionality became way more than, you know, the original browsing, collaborating, finding each other. It was let's do everything together using this platform, from the inspiration to execution, from finding the ideas to being able to source everything, buy everything, connect to everybody, hire everybody. And that was definitely a great feedback from the community that we followed.
Now, in the beginning, you had reservations about investors and right VCs, and how did it play out? And, you know, are there any lessons learned that?
We did, and I know that there are some investors here, and you too. And for a long time, because we are here in the Silicon Valley, and Alon and I have heard lots of not great stories about investors that, the wrong investors, I would call them now, that come on board and think that they know better than the founders and immediately try to shift things towards what they think is right and just ruin the original mission. And for entrepreneurs that are doing it the first time, that may be something that is going to ruin not just the project, but the entire fun of doing it. So we felt like, you know what, it's just so much fun doing it by ourselves, and we don't want somebody to come from the outside and change that. I have to say that we changed our mind now. I think that we were just very fortunate. We didn't understand that what we're doing is basically bootstrapping the company. In retrospect, it's exactly what we did. So that, I think, allowed us later on, when Amos Vilnai met us in a preschool event, and we just chatted about it, and he started telling me how he feels about investors, and which led to, of course, later on meeting you. You know, we just felt that because we already had the traction and the product, and we already created something that we don't have to prove anymore to anyone. Not that it's a good idea. The community was growing so fast at this point, and not that we are the one who can actually execute it. It allowed us to really choose what I believe ended up being the best investors in the Valley. And I'm not just saying it because you sit here. I feel that, you know, the first investors, both you and later on Alfred from Sequoia that joined the company, really changed, you know, not just how I think about investors, but the whole way, you know, we believe that the company kept growing. And that was because investors should support founders. And I remember you told us, I'm going to sit in the back seat and support you. Just look back and call me if you need help. And I told Alon, yeah, he's just saying it. But you really did. And when Alfred joined and he said, okay, I'll do it your way. And I said, really? No, you know, ridiculous decks and tons of presentations to release your LPs and all these things. I said, no. And a few weeks after he came to our house and we were sitting, you know, with no shoes on our sofas and brainstorming about the Zappos Day and how we can take it to the next level, I felt like, yeah, you joined the family. And it's true till today. So I think, yes, I had reservations about investors. In retrospect, it was great that we bootstrapped and we could pick the best investors, and we're very happy.
Thank you. And in my experience also with Sequoia, I don't know if Alfred is here, I don't think he is, but has been nothing short of great, specifically with Alfred, not just with the firm, but also with the firm. Day-to-day basis, what is the thing today that you're most excited about in the day-to-day work when you come to work? What excites you?
Well, it's all about people, right? So first of all, you come to work, you are surrounded by amazing people that you really love, and they are building Houzz with us. There are over 650 of them today, and that's truly inspiring. Because, you know, in companies, we all go through amazing times and awful times. It's not all glory and fame and articles in the newspapers and conferences, right? You have to go through very difficult times as well. But when you have amazing people around you, that's actually great to go through these times together. The other thing, I have to say, the community that we build at Houzz that are using the 35 million there, you know, is so powerful to get their feedback. So whenever Alon and I go through bad days, and we, as I said, we do have them, we just crash on the sofa in the middle of the night after we put the kids in bed, and Alon starts reading a few reviews from the App Store to me, and we laugh, and we tear, and we say, okay, there is a reason, why we're doing all these things. The other day, he was reading a comment in the App Store from somebody that kept going on and on and on, why the platform is so wonderful, and then she said, if Houzz was a man, I would marry him, and Alon was so happy. So that's one thing. The other thing is that people tend to, the users, don't really understand, but we're really empowering all these professionals, and we really transform these 900,000 pros that are using Houzz to build their businesses all over the world. The amount of love and feedback that we get from them, that's truly exciting. I'm getting gifts, emails, phone calls. I meet with them in person to the office every week, and every time I get something like this, I'm so excited because it's that one professional in the other side of the world, on the other side of the US, that Houzz really changed his life. And if we have 1 minute, this letter is very, very long, and this interior designer from Chicago kept going on and on and on, and every company meeting we pick one of them, and it's very hard to choose one. But I just want to read just a few of the things that she said there. It's a long email, so I'm not going to read it all. But she sent it to me, and she said, I joined Houzz in 2011. Prior to Houzz, I needed another part-time job outside of interior design business to make ends meet. I was also carrying a large amount of debt. Life wasn't easy. And I'm sorry if I'm going to cry, because every time I'm crying when I'm reading these emails. Immediately after I started using Houzz, my business picked up. After a year, I found that my business doubled, and since then, it has gone up about 25% every year. I get calls every week, usually multiple calls every week, from people saying they found me on Houzz. About half of my business now come from homeowners who found me on Houzz. I'm now, for basically the first time in my life, debt-free. And I've even hired 2 people, an office manager and a CAD engineer, because I couldn't keep up with all the work. Houzz has given me incredible exposure. And she goes on and on and on, and then she said, I've even been approached to appear in a reality TV show about interesting jobs. I've done projects outside of the state. The producers in the TV show, she's saying, found her on Houzz. And then she ends, she explains everything, how she's using it, and she said, I tell everyone that Houzz has been like manna from heaven for me because of what it has done to my business and my life. Thank you, Houzz. So this gets me excited. And again, not to offend investors, and I truly love our investors, but for me, this is what it's all about, right? How you touch people's lives, how you make them happy, how you make them successful, how you make the ugly to beautiful, how you make people, glow and thrive. And when you get this recognition and love, it just makes you keep going on,
You're clearly very emotional, but in fact, I got emotional when you went there. I now have some tears.
No, I love it, and I love it. And people know, different people in the company get them too. Many times I get them directly, but they know. I don't care what kind of emails you send me every day, but this one have to end up in my inbox because it makes me so happy.
It's like fuel.
It is.
So switching gears.
Either your microphone is off or we can't hear you. Do you want to use this one instead?
No, I turned it off by mistake. Okay. Now it's good? Okay. So on a very different note, monetization. So typically, or many times, there is some conflict between the experience of the users and monetization. And I'm sure in the first 2-3 years, we were not monetizing until we did introduce. And maybe you want to talk about monetization in the context of how you thought about it, and specifically how not to interfere and to and compromise the user experience.
Yeah. So first of all, Houzz didn't start as a business. It started as a product that we thought it was needed, first of all, for us and for our community. So the product itself and the user experience were always our #1 priority. And even when we decided to turn Houzz into a real company and bring, investors on board and start hiring people, we said we can never jeopardize this product and user experience. It should always be #1 priority. Our strong belief was that if you give something to people that they really need and they truly love, everything else will just follow. So instead of I see it many times, companies start and immediately the entrepreneurs put on decks like crazy assumptions. Within 3 years, they're going to make $2 billion and exit and all kinds of things like that. And I said, what? So I think it was very clear to us that if we build it right and we grow it right, the business will follow. Now, the investors supported that, so for a few years we didn't touch that. Not that we didn't have in mind the different ways to monetize it, but we felt that it should come from the community itself, and it's exactly what happened. Homeowners, started calling the office, asking us, oh, I saw in the picture this freestanding bathtub. Can you please ship it to Ohio? Or, oh, I see these beautiful tiles. Are you shipping to Alaska? I said, what? And because we had these tags and we provide all this information, but people really wanted us to deliver it all the way. Or we got phone calls from professionals who talked to us and met with us and said, all these great things and all these great clients and leads, how can you help us build it even further in our local communities, help us grow our businesses locally. And of course, the brands, IKEA Canada was the first brand who called us that wanted this access to both the trade, all these professionals, and homeowners. So the revenue channels were built very naturally at the right time when the community told us exactly what they want, and this is exactly how they built it. We built in one hand a very big business of local subscriptions for all these professionals that are able, on top of their organic free profile, to also build their brands locally. And since we have so many hundreds of thousands of professionals in the community, that became a very big business for us and for them. On the other side, we had the homeowners that said, we want all these things that we see on Houzz. It's great that you're sending us to thousands of places to get them, but ideally, we want to do it all in one place. So we build that commerce platform. And I think the success of these revenue channels in the business is due to the fact that it was always the users and the experience that drove that, and not the other way around.
No, absolutely. And I've seen with other companies sometimes, or other ways of thinking is have an objective, have the revenues drive the business decision. By 2017, we need to be a $100 million revenue company, so how do we get there? And then it's very easy to make decisions that would compromise other things. Yeah. And in Houzz, it was never the case. It was never that we never had a revenue objective, and how do we get there? It was always the other way around. It was always bottoms up. So that's, I think, it's a much better way to do things. So,
yeah, and I think when you have also the traffic and the brand and the product that people really love, it's so much easier to deliver what they want versus the other way around. And I can't even imagine early days, to take the very limited resources. You're always short of engineers. We're always short of them. But early days, to take them and start chasing, another dollar and another dollar, and how do we build this monetization product, that would be ridiculous. I mean, yeah. So I'm very happy about this decision, and it proved to be the right one.
Yeah, definitely turned out well. So let's talk about international, because it's one of the things that are in the focus of the company right now, going international. How, first of all, where we are, maybe for the benefit of the audience, tell people where we are from. We started, I think, a year or two ago, more or less, 2 years.
We launched outside of the US the first time in July 2014, so a bit over a year.
Yeah, a little bit over a year, but we started thinking, obviously, about it about 2 years ago. First of all, where do we stand right now, and how do you think about international? How do you decide which country to go after first, and have you discovered interesting variations between the different countries, culture-wise or otherwise?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So let's start with it that not every company has to go international. I remember early discussions with Alfred about Zappos and why they decided not to be international and how they built a strong business just in the US. But I think that for Houzz, it was the right decision because Houzz meant to be a global platform. Without even, going after it, we noticed that we are facilitating global design language. Now, it's not just a sentence. When I say that, I mean that people in Japan started using the platform and searching for things that are coming from Scandinavia. And people in the UK started with different products that then spread it to other parts of the world because people on Houzz discovered them and started discussion around them. So that was very natural to us. In 2013, we noticed that almost 30% of our new users are actually coming from outside of the US. And we started talking to our communities globally. And what we discovered was that there is a very true passion to help us localize the platform. And we asked ourselves, what does it mean localize the platform? Do we just need to translate it? And then, because it's very visual, but we have, of course, the product and the articles and many things going on there. And we realized that it's way more than that. These industries outside of the US, the home remodeling and design industry, let's start with it. First of all, it's a huge industry. People sometimes think about interior design, that's a small niche. No, it's not a small one. Home renovation in design, just between US and Europe, we're talking about $1.2 trillion industry. That's pretty massive. Then when we look at it, the industry outside of the US is pretty much, untouched like it used to be here in the US before we started in 2009. That means that people find their professionals in a very organic way by word of mouth, which not always result in the best match. It's very hard to source products, collaborate, talk to each other, find the right inspiration. And so the communities told us that if we'll be able to adjust it, and sometimes the adjustment is not huge, but different professionals act in different markets. We just launched in Sweden and Denmark 2 weeks ago. They have product designer profession, like the architects that really study in school how to design these products, and that's a huge profession. So we had to open this category. So we talked to the communities, and the prioritization was wherever we had a very strong community that is very vocal and excited and want to help us localize it, it was a good sign, as well as we looked at the global community at Houzz, and we looked at the searches. And when people really looked for, people here in the US are crazy about Japanese gardens. All right, so Japan is a very, if you want Japanese gardens, wouldn't it be cool to really get the advice from that Japanese landscape designer from Japan? People are so excited about it since we launched it in Japan. So if you love Scandinavian furniture, isn't it really cool that you have access to all these products straight from Denmark and Sweden? So we prioritize based on that, the interest from the global community, the interest in the professional community. We launched in 10 countries out of the US until now. UK and Australia were the first in summer 2014, and there were massive communities already because of they're both English speaking. They both doubled their traffic completely organically since then, and we started introducing the commerce and the professional subscription model recently because of that. So I think, again, we are following the same path. It's the passion from the community, it's the need that is there, and what we truly feel is providing the best value. Nobody else in this industry can provide the users access like we do to stories, ideas, inspiration, professionals, product, and materials from every country that we launch. And basically, we run surveys to our community. So we recently launched in 10 countries, but we have users from literally 200 countries around the globe. We run our annual survey. Hundreds of thousands of people participate in a very long survey telling us how they do their projects. We even had people from the Vatican participate in our survey. And it's exciting to see how something that people are so passionate about is becoming global, and people can talk to each other.
Global design language.
Global design language. I'm all for it.
Hiring is obviously a huge challenge for any company that is scaling, especially scaling so fast. Now, we're probably hiring 100 people every quarter, right? More or less.
Yeah.
So you're known to interview every single one. So first of all, do you still do it?
Yes.
And for how long? And just so everyone registers this, Adi is insisting on interviewing every single candidate that joins the company, and we're hiring Andre, and obviously some people that she can, interviews. So I don't know how many interviews you do, but it's a lot. And then what does it take to become a Houzzer? What are you looking for when you talk to all these people from different cultures and different?
Yeah, that was the most interesting and challenging part, interviewing all the international teams in Japan and in Russia and in Germany and in all these countries. I think that for us, besides the fact, of course, that we want the best professionals for every single, and it's challenging, right? Because we have not just the engineers and the product people and designers like in all tech companies, but we also have the editor, the editors, the community people. Houzz is kind of that intersection of the content and the community and the commerce. So we need different expertise in the house, and of course we are striving to bring the best of the best for each one of them. And now think about me sitting in a room in Palo Alto, Skyping with a Japanese editor that barely speaks English, but she's really, really good. She published, tons of books in Japan, so we have somebody that translated for us, and I'm trying to really understand if she's going to be really good for us. It's a challenge, but it works. And I'll tell you how I know that it works, because besides looking for the best people in what they do, we are looking for people that culturally would be great for us. Houzzers have, first of all, they are really, really good people. They have good heart. They check their egos at the door. We have a very flat organization, no middle management. So they need to be, these are not the people that need somebody to tell them what to do. They are the innovators. They are people that, can manage themselves, can work in teams, and they are really sweet, nice, kind, fun, the smartest people on earth. And I know that I was, not just me, Alon, and everybody else in the team, we were successful with our hiring process internationally too, because whenever I go to one of our offices around the world, the minute I walk in the door, I feel at home. These are really, you should try that. You will feel like you are in Palo Alto. The nicest,
I did.
Smartest, oh, you did it in London, that's true.
Berlin.
And Berlin. So it's hard, but I truly believe that this is one of the most important things that founders should do. I spend, and Alon as well, 50% of my time interviewing people. We're lucky because we have a very good team working with us, and they filter it very, very well. And so early days, of course, it was more challenging because we had to define exactly how the culture is going to work and what exactly we're looking for, but it works well. And I'm not going to stop until I collapse. It's one of the most important things that we can do.
How important is it that they're passionate about the product?
That's an interesting question. So many of our people were actually users of the products. Many of the engineers were renovating, decorating, building products. However, we had some that didn't have that passion. And how do I know that we were successful? We had one of the early engineers that was not, he was renting and he didn't have his own house, and so he didn't know much about Houzz, but he liked the idea and he liked the other team members, and he joined. And then a few months after, him and his wife, they bought their first house. We invited the team to come and have lunch in our house, and he saw that I love orange, and he said, I really like it, and I like your dark floors as well. I said, thank you. And I said, first of all, he noticed, which is very meaningful. And then he went back to the office, and he created an idea book with orange accents. I swear to God, it's a true story. And he shared it with his wife, and he liked it too, and he said, can I ask your permission to do the same in my house? Because I really love it, the orange accent. I said, yeah, he's into it too. So the very few that joined Houzz without knowing it before, I think fell in love. The culture is contagious, and the excitement from the community. How many engineers and how many people get to develop something? And first of all, we don't have this bureaucracy and tons of procedures until you come up with an idea, until you actually release that. So they have an exciting idea. They are so passionate to go and do it. And a week or two after they release it and get feedback from millions of people who love it or hate it. That's okay too, but it's contagious. And I think that the ones that didn't come passionate are truly passionate today.
That's great. So hiring ties very closely with culture, and I think you alluded to some aspects of the culture in Houzz, but can you elaborate a little bit more about how you think of the Houzz culture? First, how you think about it, how it came about, how you are making sure that it doesn't get lost as you grow in numbers and.
So many companies I see talk about culture, and you immediately get a laundry list, like we have the trips, we have the free food, we have parties, open space, the best equipment. Yes, we have all that, but that's not culture. That's all great, and people here in the Bay Area, I guess, expecting that, and it makes our life, a bit easier when we work so hard. But culture, to me, is really the environment that you create that empower people to innovate and truly enjoy their creation every single day. And for us, it meant we don't want bureaucracy. We don't want to have tons of meetings in the company just for the sake of meetings. We don't want to have tons of procedures. If somebody wants to innovate, someone should be empowered to just go and innovate and do it. And it's true across the board. Many times people are just frustrated because they have lots of layers of middle management that sometimes is good and sometimes is not good. And how would an amazing, super talented engineer should feel like when there are 5 managers between him and the people at the top, and everything needs to get so many approval until he innovates. So we just decided to do it without middle management, 0, none. We all sit on one big floor together, no doors. Everybody could talk with everybody. So I get to talk with many different people every day, and they just can walk to my desk. Sometimes I say, give me 5 minutes. But it's just very empowering, I think, and this is the culture. The culture is come and do it. We feel that the people that joined Houzz are truly our real partners. They are not employees, and I'm not just saying it. You can talk to many people at Houzz in different departments around the world. They will tell you, they feel it's their baby, and this is how it should be. Right? These people spend most of their day and most of their time working on this. They should have fun as much as I do. I wouldn't do it otherwise. And that's where the culture, and I wouldn't, yes, yeah. But I'm doing it because I'm having fun, and I want everybody to have that fun. And this is what it's all about for us. It's that great, inspiring environment to create without these, things that kind of make you depressed, no politics, no bureaucracy, no ridiculous meetings just for the sake of meetings. Just go and do it and have fun.
What's the best advice that you got from anyone along the way?
Oh, I got so many good ones, but the one that I truly appreciate, and I don't know if Amnon London is here now or not.
Amnon, are you here?
Yes.
He's over there.
So I remember Amnon joined together with Oren when Oren led the first round. And he came to meet with us in our house. We had no office, so we were sitting. I don't know if you remember that. We were sitting on our sofa in the living room, and he was talking about his experience, which I always love, having investors that have their own experience. And he said, just remember this, don't enter just to exit. And that was one sentence that he said that I felt so strongly about. It was so powerful. I see people starting companies for the wrong reasons. They think that they have kind of a clever idea to do something, and they'll immediately flip it, sell it for $100 million, and move on. You know what? Most companies that start like that would not end up selling. And any company that I saw, even the ones who sold for tens of millions or hundreds of millions, it was a lot of hard work and tears and blood and sweat. And again, most of the time, this is not the case. This is not the ending. So if you want to enter this journey, and this is why I felt that this advice was so powerful, you better be truly passionate about what you do. And you better enjoy this journey every single day without looking for an end, without looking for an exit. And this is exactly what we do every day. When people ask me about all these kind of scenarios, I say, why does it even matter? It doesn't matter. I want to get up in the morning, I want to smile, I want to be happy, and even if not, if I know I'm going to face something that it's not so much fun, I want to have that energy to go through that time, because this is the journey. And I think that was one of the best advices I ever got. Thank you.
Thank you, Amnon. You were recently, for those who follow, you were recently critical of this unicorn culture, in the media, but not just in the media. You talked about it when you were on the main stage of TechCrunch Disrupt. Can you elaborate a little bit? What don't you like about it? And
Yeah. Companies by their valuation is something that's been used heavily in the last year in the Silicon Valley. And I feel that this is probably not the right way to look at it. So unicorns, first of all, let's start with what is a unicorn. A real unicorn is a magical creature that should bring magic, to people around it. And when I look at unicorns, what I want to look into is the magic that this unicorn brings to the industry, to the users, to the people that are enjoying the product, versus the price tag that was, a price tag given by investors at a certain point. I mean, isn't it what it's all about at the end of the day? I feel like it's, the king is naked, but let's talk about it and be serious about it. Yes, it's true. There are companies out there, let's say it, there are companies out there that worth maybe hundreds of millions of dollars or more that you don't understand why, they don't have a solid business, you don't understand what exactly they're doing, the market may be crazy, and you don't understand, what is this valuation of hundreds of millions or more. But there are companies that worth billions of dollars that do change their industries completely. They do have many millions of people that it completely changed their life, and they do have very solid, strong business. This is the end. Of course, they bring lots of, differentiation and something really magical to their users. And I think that if we'll be able to look at these companies this way and look what's really in there, what kind of disruption, what kind of transformation, what is this product, what is this business, we'll be able to cut through the noise and look at these unicorns straight in the eyes and say, this is a true unicorn. I know what a true unicorn is. It's not a price tag.
I could not agree more. This is the reason why I brought it up in the first place, is because I'm feeling increasingly uncomfortable with the overemphasis on this. So I was very glad to, when you talked about it, because it really, I think you captured it in a better way than I could. I would probably not have used the word magic, but when I started, I said, yeah, that's it. But I think the other thing, if I can chime in and just bring my 2 cents on it, I think when you judge companies, or anything really, using their own criteria, in this case, an arbitrary evaluation at one point in time, rather than the actual magic, as you call it, or values, I would call it, that you bring to the customers and to the ecosystem and to the society as a whole. I think the problem is that it also leads to bad behavior and bad decisions, and in the end, I think creates a lot. I think there is a lot of collateral damage that is not yet visible from this overfocus of the media that impacts the entrepreneurs and the investors, because guess what? Both entrepreneurs and investors have big egos. So if there's a new prize, they have to have it, and it's anyways. Forgive me for actually chiming, but that's why I brought up. I agree, yeah.
It's a very good point, and I think that it's about time that people will start judging things by the right criteria. That's all.
Yeah, amen. So another thing that was very another topic that was very popular has become very popular in the media in the past year or two is women in tech. So and I don't remember you, at least not often. I don't remember you, being very public about and obviously you have a very interesting vantage point because you are a woman who is the founder and the CEO of a company that has become a real unicorn, not judged by valuation, but judged by the magic and the value. And I'm interested. How do you think about? First of all, do you feel that as a woman, it's harder for you? You have challenges that men wouldn't have, or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe you have advantages also being a woman running this company. Maybe it's both. In some aspects, harder. In some aspects, it's easier.
Well, I'm always kind of thinking about these questions because my original feelings towards this type of questions. Why are they even asking these questions? Not to you, I understand why, but why people even want to ask? Why somebody needs to ask me, a reporter that is interviewing me, about my 3 kids? Did you see ever a man on stage being asked about how is it raising kids and being an entrepreneur CEO? You never hear that. So in one end I said, why do they even ask? I want them to judge me by who I am and not because I'm a woman. At the same time, I understand that when Yasmin is standing here and said only 18%, we want to see more, it is an issue. So because of that, I always answer that. And I think that it's definitely getting better. Is it where it should be? Oh no. It should get much, much better. But today it's much better than it was 5 years ago. I used to go to different conferences and I was the only one over there. And now I see a few, which is great. I think it's a chicken and egg thing. The more female entrepreneurs will start companies, some of them will become later on supporters and investors and mentors of others. And it will definitely grow and become better. I think we're just fortunate as women to live in times where everything is an option, right? People can decide that their career is raising their kids, and believe me, that's the most difficult startup on earth, I have 3 of them, 3 startups at home, and it's really, it's a very challenging, rewarding, a wonderful one, but it's a challenging one. So people can decide that this is what they want to do. People can decide that they don't want to have kids, and this is all what they want to do, run companies, or they can combine both. And it's such a personal decision, but we are very fortunate to live in this century where we can choose. In terms of my challenges, I feel super, super fortunate on that front because it was never an issue. For me, I am who I am. I've never tried to live up to standards of any man or woman, I say what I think. I don't say what I don't think. And if I need to tell our investor story, I can't come, it's my son's birthday, I'll say it. I'm not going to try to make up excuses because this is very important to me. I'm just very proud of it, and I think that we can bring a lot to this industry, like everybody else, and we should be judged by that. While I didn't face lots of challenges, I do have to say that I have some friends and colleagues that did face some discrimination and other challenges, so I do hope that it will get better and better over time, and thank you for all the ones who are supporting it, because it's very, very important.
Thank you. I think we have about 10 minutes, so I want to open it for the audience to ask some questions. If not, I have more questions, but I want to give an opportunity to you all. Anyone feels like asking a question? Yes.
So, Oren, what did you see early on that everyone else didn't see about why to invest in Houzz when you did? What was the thing that got you going?
It's not everyone else.
What's that?
He said nobody else saw it. It's just...
Yeah, I know. That's what I was going to say. I wish I could tell you that I was so smart that I saw something that other... I actually think it was very easy to see. I really do. You had Alon and Adi that have built without any external funding and without even without any resources, without any employees, and without even them being employees of the company, because they had their day jobs. They have built a site that was beautiful. At the time, it was a website, it wasn't an app. They had the amount of traffic that is tiny compared to today's, but was definitely not noise, was significant, both both in terms of professionals who are using it and the consumers. So really all the core elements, everything since then has developed and evolved and is 100 times bigger, and but the core was there. And it wasn't, they didn't have yet a business model, but it was very clear that it was highly monetizable. It was very clear that they were creating real value. So I wish I could tell you I was smart. I wasn't smart, I was lucky. I was lucky that Gil Benartzi was also in the audience today when Adi and Alon, I think it was Alon, I don't know, one of them asked him who they should talk to. He suggested that they talk to me. I was lucky that they actually were reticent about talking with investors. So they didn't talk to many, so I was there were maybe 1 or 2 others that saw it and maybe didn't move as fast as I did. And the one thing that I do take pride in is that when I see something that I move very, very fast. And not just in the case of Houzz, it's true, basically almost all my investments were basically done in 24 hours, 24 to 48 hours. And the go-no-go was, so I think my main claim to fame here is that I was lucky, and I didn't screw it up. When I had the opportunity, I seized it, because sometimes you can have an opportunity, you can, have access to an opportunity and then miss it. When I had the opportunity, but I really got lucky. I don't think I was exceptionally smart. I think it was obvious.
I think he was smart, but by what he told us. Because if he didn't say what the words that he used were really kind of, okay, this is the person that we want with us. And without it, I'm just not sure. He said the right things, and he stayed true to his things till today. So that was very smart.
Thank you. Anyone else?
The community gave us the confidence. Almost 30% of our new users in 2013 were already global, and they were very active, and they told us exactly what they want and how much they would appreciate it if we will localize it for them. And it grew definitely in the last year and a half to over 45% of our new users are now international. Challenges, each country is so different, but yet the same. So the industry is pretty much in the same shape like we were a few years ago. We have a huge advantage because now we come in with a very mature global platform to all these markets, and this is something that they cannot get anywhere else, this access to the global community. Saying that, every country is so different. I was in Japan in April when we launched it there, and I can tell you just a little bit about the Japanese market, where 14% of the homes in Japan are vacant homes. And you ask, why? And I say, people are just not used in the Japanese culture to buy second-hand homes, like most of us do, right? They just buy it from the general contractor and stay in these homes 60, 70, 80 years until they die and the kids inherit it. Guess what? The new generation that inherit these homes have no idea what to do with these homes. So they keep it vacant and they don't move in. And the whole industry, there is a huge industry of remodeling, but it's working at the top with monopolies where architects, designers, construction firms are working directly with the builders, but not with the consumers. And this started to change, where the Japanese government, and actually have the privilege to go and meet with the Prime Minister in Japan, the Japanese government is now pushing and encouraging, like we have here in the US, for example, we have tax deduction when we're buying homes and we take mortgage, they actually have tax deduction to renovate and design their homes. So what I have to face in each country, we have to understand what is the market, how is it built, who are the people, how do we work with them, how do we bring this product to the industry in a way that will respect the different players. And it's fascinating, but it's working.
And there are some elements where it's the same everywhere. I mean, everywhere people care about where they live, they want their, houses to be nice, and, it's. So.
Absolutely. This is a common thing around the world. Think about it. After buying your home, and which is always kind of, I talk about it as the right side of the brain, right? You have your right side of the brain, which tells you, here's the laundry list. School district, how much money I have, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, how many, cars, the garage, how many cars I need to have there and all on. And then you go and buy it. But then the left side of the brain is what's going to create your day-to-day, life experience. How do I want to wake up in the morning? How do I want to see myself entertaining guests, raising my family? It's so emotional, and many times it's more than one person that lives in the house. And all these dreams, all this desire to live good lives, this is our homes. This is such a common thing around the world. And this process of making it happen, creating this dreamy home, needs to be so much more fun and productive for everybody, not just us here in the US. At the point when we started, coming out with where we're at, we had such a huge advantage when copycats started coming around the world to copy what we do. It was so different. And I truly believe that you can only lead by innovation. So while we do have copycats, I would like to see it as flattering and validating that we actually had a good idea. what do we do about it? We just keep doing what we need to do, being the innovator, be very thoughtful about our community, and create the best end-to-end solution that nobody else brings to the industry.
You know, just on that, I think in 5 years, I don't remember a single board meeting, so we're talking at least 20-something board meetings, that we talked about competitors. Because we're not focused on competitors, we're focused on we talked about customers, we talked about professionals, we talked about the people we're building value for, not the competitors. Let the competitors talk about us, but.
It's about what we do, not about what others are doing to copy us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Oren. Thank you, Adi.